Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Once again, you're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good? It's another one. Muddy Flats MMA. This is a preview breakdown of UFC 251, y'all. It is finally upon us. You know, boxing is back on the scene, but UFC was here during the pandemic before everybody else. So you got to show them some love. Real talk. You got to show them some love. Boxing champ commentary. What's good, man? How you feel? Everybody who's jumping in the live chat, man. Hey, hit the thumbs up button. Truly appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in, as always. And we're going to break it down. If you look into the description of my YouTube channel, you will see the entire fight card, which is pretty amazing to say the least. I'm going to break down majority of the main card, but I'm definitely going to pick out some familiar names of some up and coming fighters that's on the preliminaries. Real talk. So that's what we're going to be paying attention to today. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful Friday. I don't know if you actually been paying attention to what's been going on. We're going to touch on Mike Perry. First off the rip, we're going to touch on Mike Platinum Perry. Jason Williams, what's good, man? Salute everybody that's in the live chat, man. It's another one. This is Muddy Flats MMA broadcast from the one and only World Combat Sports. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in so far. I'm going back and forth to the YouTube and my Facebook. Mike Platinum Perry just coming off a win against Mickey Gall. I did a preview on it, y'all. And Mickey Gall was the one who, you know, pretty much made his jump in his career by subbing out CM Punk, the World Wrestling Entertainment athlete who decided to come over to mixed martial arts, and they boosted him. Look, they boosted him up so much. They wanted to make that money off him so bad. They put him in. He was in camp. He actually joined, I think, ATT. Training mixed martial arts. He really thought he can come over here to the cage and get it. He got it. Mickey Gall subbed him out in the first round like he should. And then he ended up subbing out Sage Northcutt, another up and coming. I'm talking about the plethora of awards that Sage Northcutt has in martial arts is just unbelievable. But he hasn't quite materialized in the game of mixed martial arts yet. In martial arts, before he joined, he was all over the world. He's been in martial arts his entire life. One of the most in shape, physically, aesthetically gifted athletes in the business. But recently in one championship, he was knocked out cold. So I like him, though. I like Sage Northcutt. Shout out to Sage. Jason Williams said, my brother. Boxing commentary say this is a mega fight. This is one of the mega fights that's going down. And I'm going to get right to it. I'm definitely going to get right to it after I talk about Mike Platinum Perry. Okay, Mike Perry is one of those guys, like he had his ups and downs and everything, and he's a tough fighter. He's just coming off a recent victory over Mickey Gall. So the strange thing about this interaction, this match he had with Mickey Gall, not the fact it wasn't going to be competitive, because it was a step-up fight for Mickey Gall, right? But Mike Perry said he wasn't going to go into that fight with no corner. I mean, he was going to go into the fight with no corner. He wasn't going to have no corner man, no cut man, no anything. He said he don't need him. He said pretty much the coaches that have been around him, they pretty much learned a little bit from coaching him than he actually learned from him, having them coach him. pretty much saying they wasn't telling him anything that was important for him to improve as a fighter. That's Perry though, right? So he goes into the fight with his girlfriend. He's fresh off a divorce. It was some weird, shady shit going on. He was trying to say that his ex-wife was basically communicating with the tax man, and in the end, he ended up owing the IRS a lot of money, still do. So he was trying to say that he was being double crossed by his ex-wife, sort of, kind of. Okay, so therefore they end up getting divorced quick. Like the MMA community really didn't even know that he was getting divorced. So he's back with this chick that make him feel everything the way it's supposed to, line up his feelings, his emotions, and everything. We thought that shit, right? He was giving her all this love and, man, this kind words and everything. He said, that's my baby. She's looking beautiful. All I want her to do is come in there and put ice on my neck. That's it. That's all I want her to do. She did it. He won the fight. He looked good during the fight. Dominated. I mean, Mike Perry, he performed well. So a couple of weeks go by, he started doing interviews because he basically made the point to say, you know what, fuck them all. You don't like me? I don't trust none of you motherfuckers. I don't want to talk to you. But after the fight, slowly but surely, he started, showing attention and coming back on the scene. This is the same Mike Perry who did a DNA history on himself, genealogy. And he wanted to see, what ethnicity he was and everything, right? So he came back. I'm just going to keep it at a low number. I think Mike Perry came back with 0.01 of African-American in him, right? So before you know it, this was months ago, Mike Perry started using the N-word. Man, fuck that nigga. So people's like, obviously Mike Perry's white, period. So he starts saying nigga this, nigga that, right? So I'm waiting for somebody in the MMA community to check this fool, right? Nothing happened. No one said anything about it because he was basically saying he went and had a report down. He has African-American in him and he has the right to use the N-word, right? So this is leading up to where I'm going with this shit. He came off a good fight with Mickey Gall. He said he was going to chill with his girl. He's going to have some Mai Tais and shit like that. So recently a video pops out. Mike Perry's in the freaking club. He's having an altercation, a verbal altercation with some patrons that's in the club. And he's pretty much being Perry. He's saying, fuck everything. You're going to talk shit to me. I'll straight up punch you in your face, period. I'm not going to sit up here and keep on bullshitting with you. And sure enough, Boss Hog want to keep on getting up in the face. And I hate this shit. When you got people that's trying to get 5 minutes of fame and a lifetime full of payment for pain and suffering, right? Boss Hall came in there talking shit. Oh, you ain't gonna do shit, blah, blah. And Mike Perry's like, dude, back the fuck up off me. I'll punch you in your face. And before you know it, Mike Perry lays this dude out. UFC fighter, lays him out. So Mike Perry goes over there next to the window and he sits down and shit. And what do we hear once again? The sweet old harmony, the melody. Man, fuck that nigga. I'm like, damn. Perry called this man a nigga, right? And I really haven't heard anything. Like he's used this several times already. And no one's checking him on it. Even the people that cover mixed martial arts, they don't know how to go about it. Like, come on, man. Where you at, Ariel? Where you at, Ariel Hawani? And speaking of Ariel, right? He was just on Ariel's show. Let me give a shout out to the live chat. Man, H Money, Mr. The Zone in the building. D Hodges in the building. What's good? Y'all be sure to subscribe to my man channel, H Money, Mr. The Zone, man. Check him out. Subscribe to the channel. Tune in. D Hodges, salute to you. I'm about to get to the comments in the live chat. Appreciate your input. So, getting back to what I was saying about Platinum Perry. He flags a dude. He gets into another verbal altercation with another patron that's different than the one he was in with. And he's like, fuck that nigga, right? But what I'm not getting is I don't hear any of the media that covers MMA talking about it. I think they're very afraid. They're very optimistic about touching that subject, and they shouldn't be, especially Ariel Helwani, one of the bestest in the game. He just had an interview with Mike Perry. Well, call him back up. Try to see if he'll come back on your show and ask him, say, Mike Perry, what went down at the bar? Why you sit up there and punch a guy? You know what I'm saying? And then I want Ariel to get in his falsetto voice like he always do. Well, he get this high-pitched voice. Well, Mike Perry, let me ask you this, Mike Perry. I heard you say the N-word. I just want to know, what was that about? I want to hear that. Because his voice always go into this high-pitched falsetto when he's about to cater to somebody or he's about to ask one of those sensitive questions and make it look innocent. So the UFC have said they're not booking him any more fights. Mike Perry has since said he's going to seek help for alcohol and he's going to seek some other intervention and shit like that. Okay, which is good. But check this out. Conor McGregor punched a dude for not drinking his proper 12 whiskey. So why shouldn't anything happen to Mike Perry for punching a patron? Conor McGregor was hopping over the cage in Bellator, pushing the referee. He was down smashing phones of fans. He was going around, punching the old man at the bar that was sitting down. At least the one that Mike Perry punched, he was actually being aggressively, coming towards him in his space, talking shit. Of course, he knew who he was because Perry, you can't really get away with tattoos on your face and everything else. And he was being aggressive, and Mike Perry punched him. Now, am I condoning it? I'm not condoning that shit. All I'm saying is, it's some people out here that's looking for a payday. It's some people out here that can't go a minute in a fight, but yet, thanks to God blessing us with lips and jaws, motherfuckers take advantage of talking shit too much until you slap their ass in the fucking mouth, and then they have to say, "Damn, you slapped the shit." He slapped the taste out my mouth. That only then when they recognize, like, shit, I should have shut the fuck up. Or when somebody wake you up, say, "Hey man, you all good? You good? What happened? Oh man, you was out for like 10 minutes. You was talking shit." The Mike Perry, the guy that just came off from beating Mickey Gall. Yeah, he punched you in your face when you was talking shit, and all we saw is you hit the ground. And now the dude's trying to say he don't have any memory. He's having headaches and shit. Of course, because that is the opportunity he was looking for. Let me get to the live chat, people. I like Mike Perry, man, but he does have a temper. D-Hard say, "What up, Combat? Well, Combat chat. LDBC salute. Waiting for a fight. Boxing champ. This proves my point more when I say the UFC makes mega fights in a snap of a finger, but boxing is taking 5. This proves my point more than I say the UFC makes mega fights in a snap of a finger, but boxing takes 5 years for them to make a mega bout. Then the boxers are old. For example, Floyd versus Pacquiao. Hey, you ain't never said it any better. Hey, check this out. D. Hodges, I'm not LDBC, bro. I don't know why you give it a shout out to the LDBC on my platform. None of them cats that has platforms give World Combat Sports a shout out. I'm keeping it 100. Nothing against you, Hodges, but I'm just letting you know, bro. I've told this to H Money. He understands. But understand me. I am not LDBC. So there's no need to give them a shout out on my platform, homie. But we cool though. We cool, Hodges. Don't take offense to it. Jason Williams say, okay, now I remember that guy. Now get back to Boxing Champ commentary. Man, what you said was perfectly right. And I was going to touch on that a little bit later, but I'll touch on it since you mentioned it. I totally agree with what you said. Why? Because it's true. The crazy part about the UFC making these fights is that they are some big names fighting. Those big names comparably can be in the same conversation as some of the big names in boxing that we're not seeing. They could be in the same as Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. We're talking about a different platform of championships, of course. Boxing have a variety of sanctioning bodies, as in the UFC has one super title per division. And then whenever Dana White wants to put an interim up there, you know, like he did Justin Gaethje for the lightweight title since Khabib was in Russia, he does so. Back to what you're saying, though. The UFC, when they said they was coming back during the pandemic, they did. And you know what? That Tony Ferguson fight, Justin Gaethje, that shit was huge. Now they coming back with another fight that's in Abu Dhabi. YAS Island in Abu Dhabi. I got to salute Dana White for making these moves, y'all. I got to salute him for making moves. Real talk. And the reason why I have to salute him, because the fight cards, in my opinion, that UFC are putting on right now are basically more interesting and entertaining than what we're seeing in boxing a little bit. Now, with that said, I have a lot of people that always say, you know, that World Combat Sports is an MMA channel and shit. That don't bother me, what you're talking about, because I talk about boxing and MMA. But you have to understand one thing. What he just said makes all the sense right now, because the UFC is an organization that promotes and put on MMA fights, okay? The UFC isn't MMA. It's a promotion. That's it. MMA is the sport. So right now, UFC collectively is leading by putting on these mega fights, just like this weekend, 3 championships in a bout of some top names. And it's a huge main event with Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. Huge, y'all. This shit is huge. This shit is huge. Why can't we see this? Because boxers, you know, right now in boxing, man, I got to call it the way I see it. They say, oh, it's no fans, man. They ain't going to get paid. You think these mixed martial artists are getting paid huge amount of money? They going in there and getting a slight increase or whatever the case may be. I don't get into figures, but they're getting paid enough for them to be satisfied to step in there with 4-ounce gloves to put it all on the line in a sport that requires you to be sound enough to handle punches, elbows, kicks, submissions. You know what I'm saying? You just can't eye gouge. You can't bite. You can't headbutt like back in the old school. You know what I'm saying? You can't kick opponent while they're down, but you still can kick them in the head when the opponent is up. You know what I'm saying? You can hit them with an elbow, shin to the head. You can punch them, all that. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with, you know, the UFC taking the lead on this fight card that's coming up. Let me just give you a rundown of the main card or the main event. Champ Kamaru Usman is the welterweight champion at 170 pounds. Jorge Masvidal is the challenger. I'm going to get into, you know, some common opponents that they had and everything like that. Co-main event, champ, featherweight division, Alexander the Great Volkanovski is going in there against a former featherweight champ, Max Bless Holloway. Third championship fight, Petr Yan, who's been on a tear right now, who's flying under the radar, but he still isn't as popular. If he goes in there and defeat Jose Aldo, then people will tune in and say, okay, let's take Petr Yan a little bit serious. But he's not as popular right now. He's not as popular as a Khabib. You know what I'm saying? Even Alexander Volkanovski, not too many people know who he is. I'm just being honest. I know he wants all the notoriety and recognition, but don't know what he is. But Jose Aldo, I'm definitely going to get into him. A world-class mixed martial artist, formerly in the WEC as a champion, transferred over here to the UFC, champions in both divisions. He's a legend, man. He almost went a damn decade without being beaten. Next, Jessica Andrade, y'all, going up against my girl, Thug Rose Namajunas, former strawweight champion. Yes. Jessica Andrade, former strawweight champion. Yes. You know who she took the title from? Thug Rose. We saw the fight. Rose just held on to her. You know, she just held on to Jessica at the wrong time when Jessica picked her up. She should have prepared herself for the slam or whatever that she felt that Jessica was about to do, because that was the second time that Jessica tried to slam her on the head. This time, you know, Rose Namajunas held on when she should have just released the grip and braced her fall so she can possibly set up a submission. But she's going in there against a former adversary who took her belt, Jessica Andrade, against Rose Namajunas. Next, oh man, this is going to be great. This might be a short fight, but I do like Paige VanZant. But Amanda Ribas, she's strong, man. She's 9-1. She's a problem. She haven't been in the UFC that long. She's winning there against Randa Marcos, and she defeated the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, world champion, Mackenzie Dern. So you have Amanda Ribas versus Paige VanZant. VanZant is returning. She had multiple problems, like her broken arm. She had to have surgeries. You probably remember her on Dancing with the Stars. She's been on IG. Very, very easy on the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Out of respect, she's married now. But, you know, Paige VanZant, man, remind you of that Farrah Fawcett. But she's a fighter. Very tough. She's going in there with a tough one in Amanda Ribas. If Paige can go in there and defeat Ribas, it puts her back on the map. That's real. And then we have the preliminary fights. But let me get back to the chat. Let me get back to the chat right quick. But appreciate that comment there, Boxing Champ commentary. 619. Mike Perry incident happened in my city. People talk a lot of shit down here and get away with it. Hey, 619. What they saying over in your city, man, about that incident? What they saying? Just let me know what they saying, bro. I would like to know, since, you know, you say that's around your way, man. You know, what is the news on Mike Perry and his incident? I understand that, H Money. I understand that. Like I said, it's no personal shit, man. Y'all got to understand that. Y'all have to understand other platforms that's out here growing also, just like we support each other. This is not going to be back and forth about who represent what on that particular platform. You can represent it all day long. It's all good, but I'm just letting you know that it doesn't have to be represented on my platform when they don't represent my platform. Y'all do, you do, and it's all good. I salute you. I do the same. But one thing that we've talked about previously, I'm not going to get into right here on this live discussion. Usman is going to punish. Please don't bet, bruh. Usman is going to punish. Are you talking about Usman's going to get punished, or he's going to do the punishing? I'm going for Jorge Masvidal. And anybody want to put some money on it, please let me know. I'm going for Jorge Masvidal. I get what you're saying, H Money, on that. But you need to understand where I'm coming from too, man. I never come on your platform and talk about another platform. It's neither here nor there. We'll chat it up, man. We'll chat it up. It's all good. Jason Williams, do you think Masvidal really has 6 days notice, or do you think something fishy is going on? First of all, Masvidal said he was 20 pounds overweight on media day recently. But 20 pounds from 170 is what? 190, right? So he's saying he cut 20 pounds in a matter of under 48 hours. Because I think media day was Wednesday. Right? Today is Friday. I think media day was Wednesday. Weigh-ins were today. They're in Abu Dhabi. So they actually fight on Sunday. So check this out. Will Masvidal have 6 days notice? It's hard to say. Anything for the intrigue of people to tune in and say, hey, Masvidal only has 6 days notice. He's not going to be in good shape for this fight. Well, check this out then. Understand one thing, that mind games and everything else goes along with combat sports, especially when it comes to the elite fighters. Everything goes along with it. You feel me? So they always have a backup plan. Always. They always have a backup plan when it comes down to it. Whether he has 6 days notice, it's hard for us to know if they always told him, hey, we're going to have Gilbert Burns. Because check this out. Masvidal was the one that was in negotiations first, but the money wasn't right, so he pulled out of the fight. Then Gilbert Burns comes on deck. He's supposed to fight, but he tests positive for COVID-19. Then turning back, they go back to Jorge Masvidal. They work out some fine details, some negotiation. They probably kind of, fluff his purse up a little bit for him to get interested and say, you know what? We're going to have you as the main event now. Are you willing to take it or not? And then, of course, Jorge said, okay, cool. That's more like it. Now, both fighters have admitted to basically eating when they shouldn't have been eating if it was a full camp. The reason being, Masvidal was saying that he didn't think he was going to be in the main event. So he went in there and had some pizza and everything else. And then Usman, once Gilbert Burns dropped out, he said, okay, I don't have to really, be uptight about making weight no more. Let me go out here and get some food. And he got the phone call right before he was about to drink a beer. He had already eaten some junk food. And right when he was about to down the beer, guess what? He got the phone call from his manager. And they said, we have a fight. Masvidal is going to be your opponent. And now we have it. I don't think anything's fishy going on. Okay, 619, appreciate it. So if Mike Perry punched the dude and knocked him out, and he received a misdemeanor, man, that's crazy, because they must have found culpability on the guy who was actually being the aggressor. You know what I'm saying? Who's actually being the aggressor? Because you usually don't get a misdemeanor for punching somebody like that. M Stacks 85, what's good, man? Appreciate you stopping through. Usman all day, got Cash App. All right. So you going for Usman? Damn, Stack 85 coming here heavy. He coming here heavy. He ain't talking about the 20-twin. He ain't talking about the 55th. He's talking about a bill. Straight up. H Money said Usman will punish Masvidal. Bro, please don't bet. Hey, man, I got to believe in what I see and what I'm measuring. I'm going to get to this while I'm going for Masvidal. I'm going to get to it. Denise Ward in the building. Salute, Queen. How you feel? Thanks for dropping through. Everything boxing and sports in the building. Shout out to you, my brother. Y'all be sure to support them two platforms that's in the live chat. H Money, Mr. Zone, and definitely everything boxing and sports, man. Salute, King. What's good? Salute to you, King. Brother boxing. I like Jose Aldo beat Petr Yan. Me and you both. I'm definitely going with the Brazilian, the legend in the sport, Jose Aldo, for sure. Absolutely. H Money. Brother boxing talk. Salute, bro. 619 say no arrest. In Texas, you can settle disputes in a fight as long as it's off the property. That wasn't off the property, though, I don't think, was it? Let me know, bro. But that's good info to know. In Texas, long as you off the property, you can get with it. In the cattle fields, everything. Brother Boxing Talk say, I think Max Holloway beat Alexander. I'm going to get to that. Right when I get to this last comment. It's illegal for boxers to get in a street fight and punch a civilian. Is it the same for MMA fighters? Now, not to get too off topic with boxing, okay? But we've seen boxers in the street. We've seen them punch dudes. We've seen, you know, AB. We've seen Shakur Stevenson. We've seen Gervonta Davis. We've seen several fighters, Mike Tyson, Larry Holmes. We've seen a lot of fighters that was in street fights and boxing. And too much is not made of it. It all depends on who they're in a fight with. But also we've seen the mixed martial arts where, you know, Conor McGregor recently had several incidents. While people was over here talking about Gervonta Davis, you know, they had Conor McGregor over there just acting a complete nutcase. And now we had John Jones. He had his incidents. You know, he was punished. He had a hit and run incident and stuff like that. But then you have Mike Perry, video running, and he punched the dude. Now, for him to get a misdemeanor, it must not have been that serious. That's the only thing I can assume. That's the only thing I can assume with that. Man, y'all going hard on my boy Masvidal. Jesus. Okay. Let's get to Petr Yan and Jose Aldo. Petr Yan and Jose Aldo, man. If we get the Jose Aldo that we seen previously when he fought the Chad Mendez, you know, Ricardo Lamas, not so much to Max Holloway. He lost to Max Holloway twice, y'all. When he fought Mark Hominick, when he just came into the UFC and Dana White was creating a featherweight division, and he allowed the WEC that was shutting down the champions to come over here and start up the division in that same 145-pound division. And that's what happened. He fought Mark Hominick. He beat him. And of course, a lot of people talk about Jose Aldo, who lost to Conor McGregor in 13 seconds. It's happened. It's combat sports. Conor McGregor fought with Jose Aldo's psych jitsu. He got in his head so bad that all Jose wanted to go in there was throw hands when he should have just been patient, work his kicks, and then try to work his hands. But he went in there right off the bat and tried to knock Conor McGregor out. And we all know Conor McGregor is a counterpuncher, and he connected 13 seconds, gone. I'm hoping Jose Aldo come out with a solid game plan, add a new division. This is his second fight at 135, y'all. He dropped down from 145 to 135, featherweight to bantamweight. I didn't think he would look healthy against Marlon Moraes, but he did. A lot of people thought he won that fight. Now we get to see him in there with a solid contender like Petr Yan, and it's going to be a good fight. I don't think Petr Yan's jiu-jitsu is better than Jose, who I believe is a black belt. Also, Jose Aldo is 37, I believe it's 37 years old right now. I'm not sure. But anyway, he's a much older fighter. He's been in the game for quite some time. And Petr Yan is, from what I understand, is 27. It's going to be a solid fight, man. I look at this fight all the time and I say Jose is still a better striker than Petr Yan. But I also factor in the way he looked against Max Holloway. I don't know if he had an injury. We can't say it was a weight cut. You know why? Because he's down at bantamweight. Jose Aldo made weight again. No problem. He had to take his draws off, but he made freaking weight again at 135, man. You know how tough that is to be that old, to compete in the featherweight division for that long, and then decide, you know what, I'm going to drop down 10 more pounds, and I'm going to go try to contend at bantamweight so I can be a two-division champion. And that's where he at. Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. The first fight, this is what I like about Volkanovski. I like the way he was being first. I like how he was mixing it up, putting his kicks out there, keeping Max Holloway guessing. He was really being first in that fight. It seemed like Max Holloway really couldn't get the wheels turning with his hands. You know, he was thinking a lot, but Volkanovski really didn't allow him to get comfortable with setting up his offense. Before Max Holloway think Volkanovski's stopping, he's landing 4 or 5 punches. He's kicking and then putting his punches combinations together. He was really keeping Max Holloway guessing. And then you went through the fight and you saying, okay, now Max is going to get it together in the second round. Nope. Third round, now Max is going to get it together. He's going to start changing levels. He's going to go in for a single double. He's going to really start mixing it up. Nope. Volkanovski kept the pressure. He distance gauged very, very well in that fight. Kicks to the lead leg. Beautiful. Beautiful. His technique was on point that night. Who am I going for? I'm going for Max Holloway, man. I want him to get his belt back. You know what I'm saying? I really hope he get his belt back. Now to the main card. I mean, to the main event, my boy Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal. Kamaru Usman has one loss, and that's to Jose Caceres before he even went into the UFC. All right? Not Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy. I had to tell somebody that today when I put Jose Caceres up there, they thinking it's Alex Caceres. I said, no, that's not the same person. And he lost via submission, y'all. He's been on a win streak ever since. Kamaru Usman was subbed out in that loss, but not since then. He's been on a win streak. So most recently, we can look at the fact that he defeated Colby Covington, and I think the fight was stopped in the fourth round, I believe. But fifth round, something like that, fourth and fifth round, broke his jaw. Now, a lot of people are saying, okay, Kamaru Usman's going to knock out Jorge Masvidal. Listen, Masvidal been in there fighting in the backyards. Masvidal has had an up and down career. He has 13 losses right now. But dude is an absolute goon. He's a savage. The only thing about savages when it comes to mixed martial arts is that you have to come up with a way to defeat your opponent with rules in place. Some fighters out in the street, they understand what they can use and you know what their opponent is basically the condition, you know, if they skilled or not, you know, what somebody's told them. But when you're competing inside the top elite level of the UFC, you have other fighters who are equally savage as you are, technically schooled and versed in mixed martial arts. So then you take a person who was known in the streets still to this day, and you put him in there with somebody like Kamaru Usman, who has a wrestling background. I think he's one of the boringest fighters in the UFC. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I mean, I don't like to compare what's going on with Israel Adesanya, his countryman, and freaking Kamaru Usman, but I just don't see him as being that entertaining to me. His hands are, I think he has C+, B- boxing. I think his striking is pretty decent. When it comes to that with Jorge Masvidal, I give him the edge a little bit. You know, I give him a B+, you know, with his striking. I know we didn't get a chance to see that against Ben Askren, but I truly think that Jorge Masvidal can outstrike Kamaru Usman, whether it be with his hands or his feet. The question is going to be, y'all, is Kamaru Usman going to come in here and goddamn clinch for the first 3 rounds and try to take down Masvidal and make it a boring ass fight like he had with Tyrone Woodley? Even though he dominated Woodley, it was one of those things where I look back at Johnny Hendricks. I look back at all these wrestlers that came over and started to take up mixed martial arts, and their comfort zone was to change levels, go in for a single double, clinch, work up against the cage, try and get the takedown. And once they got the takedown, they just lay there, throw punches to the rib cage. It really wasn't no transitioning or advancing your position. That's what I think that the game plan might be with Usman. I think that it may potentially be a boring ass fight where he's going to really try to wear down Masvidal. He's going to try to damn tap into his cardio. And when it comes to wrestling, I still got to give a wrestling edge to Usman. Even though Masvidal knows how to wrestle when it comes to his day job, I think Usman still is the better wrestler. Why? His performance that he had over Tyrone Woodley. The way he was able to go in there and negate the takedown with Colby Covington and just make it a stand-up game. Colby was able to catch Usman in that fight. And I know one thing I like about Masvidal, I think he's a very intelligent striker when it comes down to it. He has that street mentality. He's very slick in a lot of shit he executes in the cage. It's going to be a good fight. But I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm going for Jorge Masvidal. I hope his rise. Let me back up a little bit to his back-to-back losses. Jorge Masvidal lost to Damian Maia. Then he turns around and loses to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Both of these fights, I believe, was in 2017, right? He takes a hiatus from the sport. He comes back in 2019. Like 2 back-to-back losses, y'all. 2 freaking back-to-back losses to Maia and Thompson. Granted, the guy he's about to step into the cage with, once he returns in 2019, it's the same guy who fought Stephen Thompson, who beat Masvidal. So now he's going in there against Darren Till. Darren the Gorilla Till. The same Till who was in there with Tyron Woodley and got smashed in 2 rounds. The one that was acting like he was just the bigger fighter and he was going to go in there and smash Tyron. It didn't go that way. So he comes back from over, about a year and a half layoff. He comes in there and fight Darren Till. People are like, oh, shit. Is Masvidal ready for this fight with Till? Is he ready to go in there and fight somebody like the caliber of Till? He goes in there and knocks him out. Jorge Masvidal puts his name back on the map. People start calling him the Cuban Jesus, everything. So he's back in the picture now for a title hunt. Next, let me break this shit down to you, y'all. Masvidal. Next opponent, Ben Askren. Dana White is trying to close down the flyweight division, which is the 125-pound division. Currently, Demetrius Johnson, who defended his title 11 times, the one who started the division, basically. He was defeated in the bantamweight division, and then Dana White decided to open up a flyweight division. Now, check this out. The UFC decides they want to do a trade like we basketball or football or MMA, right? So they bring on Ben Askren for a trade of Demetrius Johnson to 1 championship. What's incredible crazy about this is that Dana White did not get along with Ben Askren. Somehow, some way, they was able to become cordial enough to do business. And we're talking about Ben Askren, who was undefeated, y'all. And this was, I'm working up to Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. So Ben Askren comes over there undefeated. He faces the legend Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler picks him up and ragdolls him the first half of the fight. Somehow, some way, Ben Askren does what Ben Askren does. He used his wrestling. He used his versatility. He's able to put Robbie Lawler in a headlock. Now, Robbie Lawler is a veteran of the game. He's standing there. He's not moving, and Askren has him in a tight headlock. It's somewhat like a bulldog choke, right? Herb Dean looks at Robbie Lawler and thinks he's out and calls the fight off. Robbie Lawler immediately get up and say, what are you doing? I'm good. I was counterweight. You know, sometimes when fighters are in submissions, they don't, I mean, come on, the game is to get used to being in a submission, calm, composed, don't panic, and try to get out of it. However you choose to. You just don't tap immediately. And I think Robbie Lawler was doing that, right? Herb Dean called the fights over. Next opponent for Askren is Jorge Masvidal. 2 don't like each other. Masvidal said, I'm about to shut this guy up and I'm about to fuck him up. Ben Askren is 19-0 at this time, I believe. He's undefeated. He goes in there with the win off Robbie Lawler. He didn't want to give the man a rematch from a controversial win. Masvidal goes in there and performs one of the 2 most spectacular flying knees that you will ever see in mixed martial arts. And he practiced it. He practiced it, y'all. He went in there and smashed Ben Askren in 5 seconds. Cinco entiendes? 5 freaking seconds. He smashes Ben Askren out cold. Then lands about 2 punches. Post-fight conference, they asked him, say, hey, Masvidal, why did you have to throw the punches? And he's already out. Was that necessary? And then Masvidal says, super necessary. It was super necessary. So he goddamn knocks out Ben Askren, send him out on his way. And I earned a lot, I gained a lot of respect for Ben Askren after that loss, because come to find out, I knew this though, but he had serious hip problem and he's been fighting through the pain or whatever. And so he's waiting to have hip surgery right now. So he's not going to be in the sport anytime. He's not going to be back, I don't think. So now we got Kamaru Usman and Masvidal. Masvidal, 13 losses to his resume. This is where the separation begins, people, when it comes to boxing and MMA, because mixed martial artists, they can have multiple losses and people still glorify them like they only have 0 losses or 1 or 2 losses. That's the difference in mentality when it comes to mixed martial art fans and boxing fans, right? Just off coincidence, Gilbert Burns tests positive for COVID-19. Before that, Jorge Masvidal was saying, I got to get paid. I want to get paid. People like me. I'm going to be the one selling the fight. I want to get paid. I'm just trying to educate you on how the UFC either ingratiate fighters or jettison the fighters, right? I'm guessing they wasn't ready to give Masvidal the price tag that he was looking for. Just like Henry Cejudo, when they wanted Henry Cejudo to go up to 135 and face TJ Dillashaw. And Henry Cejudo's like, you got to pay me. Dana White say, fuck all that. Hey, we're going to go to TJ Dillashaw. They went to TJ Dillashaw and he accepted, they fluffed him up a little bit. He came down to flyweight to shut down Henry Cejudo, the master plan Dana White had in mind, and he gets knocked out in the first round. Anyway, Jorge was only trying to advocate for himself. Now, full circle, he's back in the freaking fight. He's back in the fight so much that he's headlining the card. This is a do or die situation for Masvidal. This is absolutely the biggest fight of his entire career. This is one of those accommodating moments for Masvidal that can cement his career. You know how? Because he's just coming off, which I did mention. I left it out for a reason. He's coming off that win of the BMF title with Nate Diaz. Now, that BMF title can stand for a lot of things. In this particular case, it stands for bad motherfucker, right? So him and Nate Diaz, we know Nate Diaz is an OG, and freaking Jorge Masvidal is an OG. They fought, and Jorge ended up getting a stoppage, I believe, in the 4th round. He really did a number on Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is known to have scar tissue, bleed easily. There's nothing that we don't know for the hardcore MMA fans. So he stops, he gets the BMF title. Now that he's in a position, he goes in here and defeats Kamaru Usman. He's on top of the world. He would have this trinket of a title, which is more so, world wrestling entertainment, more so entertainment value, because it really has no value to it significantly when it comes down to the super titles. So he had the BMF title, and if he's able to get the welterweight title, it will only do big numbers for him for a huge fight. Now, who's going to be next? You can only imagine. I'm going to break it to you here first, right? Masvidal win this fight with Kamaru Usman. It may potentially set him up for another huge payday and another big fight. And that fight may potentially be against Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, yes, the one who was the featherweight and the lightweight champion at the same damn time, who never defended his titles, who went over there and fought Floyd Mayweather and made millions. He is trying to be the first 3 division champion. in the UFC. It's out there. The reason why I'm saying Jorge Masvidal and not Kamaru Usman, look at the promo. Look at the freaking promo this week. All the promo is Jorge. Not too many people talking about Kamaru Usman. Look, I know he feels some type of way, but dude is a bit boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he doesn't have a personality to do the promo game. A lot of people don't. Pacquiao don't. Jose Aldo doesn't. You know, there's a lot of people don't have that bravado, that machismo that they're looking for, right? So when it comes down to Jorge Masvidal, the people love him. Him being cage side with the robe on, you know who he was representing. Everybody liked that shit. Him riding off the momentum of a 5-second knockout. Him going in there stopping Nate Diaz. Now he's getting a championship fight with Usman. This could very well set him up for 2 huge paydays. Huge. He defeats Kamaru Usman. I don't know the contractual agreement, whether it's a rematch clause in there. Usually that's not the way the UFC works. I know they did it with Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz because they were trying to build up Conor McGregor, period. They were trying to build him up. So whatever he wanted, he was getting. So when Nate Diaz subbed him out in 2 rounds, automatically they was going to go back for another one at welterweight. And then that's when Conor moved back down to lightweight and fought Eddie Alvarez for the title. But I got Jorge Masvidal. I hope he fights the best fight of his entire life. I hope he has a very solid gas tank. He's going to need it. I haven't seen Usman getting tired. I'm not going to bring up rumors, but I know that a certain fighter said that they didn't think Usman was clean. But that's not for me to sit up here and insinuate. But I'm just saying, once it's out here in public record, I can put it out there too. I can reverberate it. So that's not a problem because USADA, they haven't came back with nothing just yet. And we all know how the testing goes with USADA. But in this particular 5-round fight, 5 minutes apiece, you might see a boring fight in the second, up to the second and third round of the fight. I think Usman may absolutely get in close on Jorge if he can and try to push him up against the cage, you know, degrade his freaking energy. And then if you put a fighter in fatigue, it basically interrupts every other offensive game plan they have. It basically puts that fighter in a distress mode. If a fighter is tied going into the 4th frame or even the 3rd frame, they're not going to be shooting in for a takedown. They're not changing levels. They're trying to basically execute a game plan that requires minimal effort. And that's going to be very tough to do against Kamaru Usman, especially what we've seen him do to Tyron Woodley. Let me get to some of these comments, man. H Money say hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that, H Money. Y'all do the same for his channel, man. Check him out. Brotherhood Boxer say Masvidal get KO. I don't believe it. But who was that guy? Was it 619? Hey, 619. I think you was the one that sit up here. No, it was Stacks 85. Stacks 85. I didn't see a Cash App put in a live chat. I'm not scared with mine. I didn't see it. So put that in the chat, man. I'll scoop it up once I'm done. Brothers, I think Max Holloway beat Alexander. That's what I'm hoping. Brotherhood Boxing say Mike Perry and Conor McGregor. Mike Perry and Conor McGregor is a racist and also like beat up old dudes. I agree that both of them have had altercations and disrespected people who are considered the elderly. You know what I'm saying? I don't know for a fact with the incidents that's been going on with them because Conor McGregor, he punched the white man. He punched the Irish white man that was in the local pub. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he punched somebody outside, you know what I'm saying, that's black, Hispanic, or whatever. He punched a dude that refused to drink his proper 12 whiskey. I don't know what he told him. Like, it tastes like piss. I can find better drink in the toilet. I don't know. But Conor McGregor, being a professional fighter, former 2-division champion, he put his hands on an older gentleman. And he only got 5 days community service. Facts. 5 days community service for punching a dude that age. And he probably had to come out the pocket. Brother Boxing Talk said, Jose Aldo think this is going to use his leg kicking. I hope he implements that. I hope he has the cardio, because Aldo has some of the most lethal leg kicks in the game. But that was at featherweight, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. That was at featherweight. We didn't see too much his leg kicks when he dropped down to 35 and he fought Marlon Moraes. I'm just being honest on what I seen. D Hodges said, yeah, no matter once you're a pro, you got to register in any combat sports. Yeah, no matter once you're a pro, you got to register in any combat sports. Hey, what you saying, Hodges? Register in what? I'm not understanding. Register in what exactly? I need some clarification. I think Jose Aldo feel like more better now. Man, for him to try to feel better at a lower weight at his age, unbelievable. I commend him for that shit. You know, for him to feel better than featherweight, cutting 10 more pounds at his age, as long as he's been in the game, man, his nutritionist is on freaking point. His team on point. Jose Aldo didn't have to cut any additional weight. He made it on the first try. His team is on point, man. 33 years old. So Aldo is 33 years old, and you know well as I do, he been in the game, I think close to what, 18 years? Petr Yan just come front. Yeah, Petr Yan is pretty solid though with his forward pressure. He is. I have to give Petr Yan his props. He's pretty solid. Just like I could say about Alexander Volkanovski. He's pretty solid. It's all about if you got a stand-up striker that's going to use punches. This is mixed martial arts. And then you have Volkanovski who beautifully meshed together and put his kicks. And he really doesn't, lead with his kicks repetitively first. He switches it up from different angles, just like they say with boxing. You know how some people lead with a jab, come with the two. Volkanovski, you don't know if he's going to go inside, outside leg kick. You don't know if he's going to do a leg kick to the body. You don't know if he's going to throw a 1-2 combination. You don't know. And that's what the same thing Dominic Reyes did to John Jones. He had him guessing for 3 rounds. And at the end of the 3rd round, John Jones tried to go in for a takedown. So that's what we're going to get from Petr Yan. He definitely have to be unpredictable, along with Alexander Volkanovski. Max Holloway, I think he learned his opponents. I think he did his film. From what I'm understanding about Max leading up to this fight, right, is that he sparred over Zoom. He was up there, getting his teaching over Zoom because they was practicing social distancing. Now, a lot of fighters are getting paranoid about this shit. And I want you to understand this, people, on why fighters are getting paranoid about going in the gyms and just running roughshod and say, you know what, I don't give a fuck. Listen, if you test positive for COVID-19, you don't get paid. You don't get paid. Some of these fighters, man, they fucking broke. They're on their last freaking a couple $1,000s, man. You just can't go up in the gym and train with no mask because it's hard to breathe and just say, fuck it. So you and your team have to be very cautious to get on a plane, go all the way to the destination, and talking about this, I'm going to tell you something that seriously needs to be changed with the UFC right now and with boxing when it comes to this COVID testing. It has to be changes when it comes to this COVID testing. But Max Holloway, from my understanding, man, he did Zoom calls. He was practicing shit over Zoom. How true that is, if it's all fabricated, I don't know. But Max Holloway is a vet in the game, very tough guy, has a very respectable and legitimate resume. And I don't think he's going to be tired. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100. I don't think Max Holloway is going to have a problem with gas, but he definitely needs to come in there with a different strategy against Volkanovski, because Volkanovski said it was too easy the first time. It was too easy for him. And speaking of Volkanovski, right? If he's able to defeat Max Holloway, if Max Holloway is able to defeat Volkanovski, the next fight may potentially be huge for both of these guys. Because like I said prior in another live, Henry Cejudo, the former flyweight and bantamweight champion, he wants to become a 3-division champion, just like Conor McGregor. Nobody in the UFC has become a 3-division champion. Henry Cejudo has plans just like Conor McGregor to try to do that. All right. So right now, Henry Cejudo says he would like to fight the winner at featherweight division. He would like to fight him. So though he gave up his belts, that really means nothing. He knows Dana White is going to pay him very nicely if he comes back and fight at 145-pound division for the championship. You know, we're talking about a wrestling gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist in Henry Cejudo coming back and fighting the winner of Max Holloway or Alexander Volkanovski. Moving on. I have a 5-round fight. Okay. So what weight class you in, man? What weight class you in? I think Alexander. So I'm looking at your title. You say brother boxing. You're a boxing or mixed martial artist? Because I'm assuming, you know, boxing doesn't have 5 rounds, even on the regional level. So are you a mixed martial artist? I think Alexander just did the leg kicks on Max Holloway. And that was a good move. You know what I'm saying? For Alexander Volkanovski to employ that type of fight strategy, it worked out good for him. Jason Williams said, brother boxing talk, Aldo is 33, but in fight years, he has to be like 43. So he said, Aldo is 33 on his birth certificate, you know, due to his date of birth, but in fight years, 43. Dude has been around forever. I look at it like this. Jose Aldo has been in the game for quite some time. Now, this is the comparison when it comes to mixed martial artists and boxing. They have less rounds unless it's a championship fight or it's the main event. Before, it just used to be championship fights. 5-minute rounds, 5 rounds in the championship, right? Now the main event is 5 rounds most of the time. 4-ounce gloves, right? So the rule of thumb is that mixed martial artists take less punishment than boxers. The reason being is the location of their strikes. They have several locations where they can apply their striking effort. Whether it's going in for takedowns for the submission or controlling your opponent on the ground, or basically stand-up game where you employ kicks and punches, elbows, spinning technique, whatever the case may be. But it's not extensively directed to the head. You know, you get kicked in the leg, you get kicked in the ribs and all that. When it comes to boxing, yes, they punch you to the body, but it's bigger gloves, and the weight of those gloves have been said to be much more damaging or degrading over time than mixed martial arts. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if in fight years he's 43, like you're saying. I know you're bloviating for a little bit. I get it, bro. But I don't think in mixed martial arts, with the fighters and how long they're staying in the game, it's like boxing. I'm gonna tell you another. I'm gonna give you another piece of nugget too. Look at boxing on how extensive these guys have amateur careers with headgear on. Look at how the Olympics changed headgear, no headgear. Why? Because all these doctors start getting involved. They start saying, "Oh, it's more damage that's being applicable when they have on headgear." So they took the headgear off and started, fighting with no headgear. Blah blah blah. Look at the amount of boxers that have extensive amateur careers, and people look at them like they was playing on a freaking joystick. No, that's tread on the tires. Now, if you say somebody in boxing is 33 years old, yeah, I would absolutely agree with you that in boxing years, they're 43. When you're talking about hundreds of amateur fights and then come over to the professional ranks and start fighting, when you reach your 30s, it's according to how much punishment you took in the amateurs. It's going to depend on how you shine in the professional ranks when you start getting of age around 30 plus years old. And people start thinking you should be shining. Perfect example, Gennady Golovkin. But that's for another day. Good point there, Jason Williams. Appreciate that. I think a lot of MMA fighters are technically sound, but lack the savage side. Listen, people. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Jason. I'm the perfect person to tell you that's absolutely not true. I would suggest that if you really want to see mixed martial artists train, sit down in a week of their training. Oh my goodness. It's unfucking believable. It's mind-blowing. Look, at my age, I consider myself to be pretty damn savage when it came to conditioning and shit. I mean, I still have that discipline, not physically able to do what I can do at my age, right? Looking at these mixed martial artists train, I was shaking my fucking head because I've been through some rigorous shit training-wise when it comes to combat sports, right? But combat sports have evolved so much that if you go watch them in the gym, you're like, what? Like, even when they just light sparring on their feet, they have shin guards on and everything. I'm not going to mention no names, but I've seen some people get the shit kicked out of them, and they had to take a break. I'm absolutely not bullshitting you. I've seen some cats that I've watched on TV fight give the business to some of these freaking partners. I've seen them do some shit that I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you can do that shit while you stand up fighting? Like, they go through the routine in training so they can use it in a fight. When they're practicing working off their back in the gym, after already getting tired, working off the mat, the cage, wall, doing all that other shit, you got to ask yourself, damn, I got to try to get off my back. You got to start the clock when I'm in a predicament, like I'm in a submission, and they start you off in the worst scenario possible, and you got to work your way out of the scenario. That shit is tough, y'all. I ain't gonna bullshit you. That shit made me shake my head. Hold on for a second. So I would suggest, if you can, watch some of these mixed martial artists train. You have to have a little bit of savagery in your heart and body to train mixed martial arts, period. Period. There's no way around it, y'all. You have to go watch these cats train. Don't get it twisted that I'm sitting up here devaluing boxing sparring, because I done seen some savagery go down in boxing sparring too. I mean, that'll make you say, oh shit, this motherfucker would not be the same. Somebody need to goddamn chaperone him to the damn Uber, because I don't think this dude's gonna make it. But in mixed martial arts, you got kicks to the leg, body. You got submissions you got to work off of. You're in the clinch. You got to work out the clinch. And then you have to apply the clinch. You got to be offense, defense. That shit is crazy, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. If you know, I've seen this shit before, but have the opportunity as media to go to some of these schools, mad respect, bro. But I disagree. I disagree, Jason. Masvidal was supposed to be food, but he effed up the party all year. You're right about that. I totally agree. When he was supposed to lose, he did lose. He lost to Damian Maia and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He was out the sport for a year and a half, came back in 2019. He had a resurrection. You know, he kind of did what Keith Thurman did, but he wasn't playing an instrument at the top of the hill. You know, he had this reflection in his mind. He I don't know if he got baptized. I don't know if he went and saw a shrink or, you know, some spiritual leader, but he came back in that year and a half and shit changed for him. You know, shit changed for Masvidal. So when he came back and knocked out Darren Till, and then he stepped in there, Askren 5-second knockout, then go in there and fight Nate Diaz. You know, that fight even did great numbers. He's on a high. Now he's stepping in there for the main event, man. This is do or die for Masvidal. Seriously, this is do or die. Jason Williams, Masvidal versus Conor. He has to get through Kamaru Usman. I really don't want to predict that fight because it makes no sense for me to say, okay, Masvidal versus Conor, when Conor's just coming off a bullshit-ass win with Cowboy Cerrone, who didn't want to be there. Okay, so I'm saying Cerrone comes back from that fight and he gets a win. He comes back from being closed out in 44 seconds or something to winning a fight. So I don't know if Conor McGregor got the best Cowboy Cerrone. I don't know, man. That's why I asked if you thought something fishy was going on. I think Dana wants Masvidal to beat Usman because that sets up a huge fight with Conor. You might be right, ching ching. You might be right, bro. I'm not gonna devalue that comment because it might have a lot of merit to it. Denise Ward say excellent commentary. I appreciate Denise all day. Appreciate that. Thanks for your support all day. 619 say Masvidal can set himself up with Canelo's super fight. There was a little hype about it after the Diaz fight. Now, in order for Masvidal to pull off something that Conor McGregor was able to do, you all need to understand how Conor McGregor was able to do this shit. Conor McGregor was able to do some legendary shit to get the fight with Floyd Mayweather. Just wait. I gotta drink this clear. This is my Everclear. They say, why you don't drink out of water bottles? Because I like grip strength. I always work on my grip strength. Check this out. Conor McGregor was able to do some legendary shit. He defeated Silver. He defeated Chad Mendez. He stepped in there and was able to get the fight with Jose Aldo, 13-second knockout, right? Moves up. This is what I'm talking about when I try to explain to certain people about boxers moving up in weight classes and people looking like, oh, he's too small, he's this, that, and the other. Conor McGregor was draining himself dry for 145, right? He wins the title by knocking out Jose Aldo, goes all the way up to welterweight. The same shit that Mikey Garcia did. It didn't fare well for Mikey Garcia, and it didn't fare well for Conor McGregor. Not because he was too small for the division. It's the fact that his jiu-jitsu game was suspect. He goes from 145 up to welterweight, gets subbed out by Nathan 2, turns back around, wins the decision, drops back down, fight Eddie Alvarez, the underground king, who's won a belt in every organization he's been a part of. Conor McGregor visits him at 155, stops him in 4, I think. So With all the bullshit that was going on, Conor McGregor starts doing what? He starts following Ronda Rousey's freaking lead. Ronda Rousey was out. Look, Ronda Rousey, I'm about to clown her ass. Ronda Rousey was out here talking reckless. She was out here saying that she will beat Floyd Mayweather with one hand tied behind her back. I'm like looking at her box and I'm saying, are you goddamn on some shit? Is somebody checking her nose? What the fuck is going on with her? You was an Olympian. And you're actually believing that just because you won an ESPY, that you better at fighting Floyd Mayweather at boxing? Her team failed her. Her team failed her. So she's going up here saying she can beat, the women in her division, one hand behind her back. She was really smelling herself, man. She was feeling herself big time. Then guess who took and said, took notice? Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor started doing the same shit. He started talking shit about Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd, he was just doing what Floyd does, count his money, goddamn go buy a luxury car. And somebody probably walked up to him and said, hey, Floyd, check this out. Hey, you got this mixed martial artist over there. He's a 2-division champion. He talking shit, like he'll come over to the boxing ring and give you the business. And Floyd's like, oh yeah? Who is he again? I said, Conor McGregor. I don't know him. I never heard of him. Y'all heard of him? I ain't never saw him. You know how Floyd Mayweather act like he don't know who the fuck you are. Who the fuck is that? I don't know who the fuck that is. If he ain't making money off of you, he don't know who the fuck you are, right? He said, yeah, man, this guy's talking reckless that he'll come over here and he can beat you in a boxing ring. So when I was covering this shit, I'm telling people, all you bitch ass motherfuckers that kicked me out the group for telling you the truth, they were saying, oh, Conor McGregor, he's a 2-division champion. He'll kill Floyd Mayweather. And I was telling them, I said, Floyd Mayweather is never stepping into a cage, y'all. He is the master manipulator in basically drawing fans in to come see him fight. But their reality is they want to come see him lose. When Floyd stepped in the cage and did that 5-second promo, and he said, what are the odds? What are the odds? He had on just trunks and he was barefooted like he was going to fight in the cage. Oh my God, genius. Floyd Mayweather's a genius. You keep fucking talking about he can't read and he's going to keep on counting money. Dude is a fucking genius. Conor McGregor said, you know what? I'm going to do the same shit Floyd does. I'm going to start talking shit. I'm going to get people to tune in. They did. Floyd finally said, you know what? Hey, I see social media and they really tuning in to this motherfucker. They really think this dude can beat me. So they get the fight. Conor McGregor get the fight with Floyd Mayweather. Listen, once again, speaking to the true bitch assness of people who don't understand how boxing works when it comes to license. If you've never been to a regional fight, it's people that straight off the couch to get licensed to be professional fighters. It's people with no amateur experience, straight out of Walmart parking lot smoking a blunt, get licensed to be a professional fighter, y'all. So I'm trying to tell them, it's nothing for Conor McGregor, who's a 2-division champion in mixed martial arts, one of the most premier fighters right now on top of the world. He's going to get a fight with Floyd Mayweather. Now, of course, it was some freaking fans that, I pissed off in boxing because I was trying to kick some logistics to him. I say, if Conor McGregor shows up to boxing with an 0-0 record, should we respect Floyd for the win? Do we respect Floyd for the win? Because you look on Muhammad Ali record, the third time he was picking up before he picked up his championship, the third time he lost it to Leon Spinks, who was 7-0, y'all. It's no way Leon Spinks 7-0 and then turned back around and fought the same Muhammad Ali and Muhammad Ali won. And then he went in there and lost his title to Larry Holmes. 3-division champion. I mean, not 3-division champion, 3-time heavyweight champion. But look at the Leon Spinks. Look at what Floyd Mayweather was able to do. Do we count a 0-0 MMA fighter coming over here for one of the biggest fights ever, gross-wise? Do we factor that in when it comes to his record? You can't sit up here and say, okay, Conor McGregor, he was genius. He called out one of the cash cow boxing, and he was able to get in the squared circle. He was able to earn more money than many boxers who have went to amateur, nationals, all this Golden Glove, fought in the Olympics and all that. Conor McGregor, on one night with one professional fight, was able to go in there and fight the best of this era. Legendary. Legendary, y'all. That shit was motherfucking legendary. Hopefully y'all learned something off it. That shit Conor McGregor pulled off was fucking legendary. Now, in order for him and Jorge Masvidal to pull off a fight in the UFC, for people to tune in, Jorge has to go in there and defeat Kamaru Usman convincingly. Because if you match up Jorge and if you match up Conor McGregor, the people are going to come out and buy it. Because they are absolutely enamored with anything that Conor McGregor does. Seriously. Conor McGregor been out the spotlight for a reason. But man, MMA fans, they still think about what Conor McGregor was able to do. All the millions of dollars he was able to make with Floyd Mayweather without one professional fight. Then he returns back to the sport of mixed martial arts after, spending he probably spent a couple of mil. You know what I'm saying? He probably spent a couple of mil. Got fucked up plenty of nights. Called up, some females here and there. Chilled. He goes back into the mixed martial arts arena in the UFC. And he fights one of the toughest guys that's on top right now in Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is the current champion on where he used to be. And he gets subbed out in 4 rounds. What do people do? They still, Conor McGregor be back. He'll be back. Don't worry about it. Conor McGregor be back. Khabib subbed him out in 4 rounds. Now he's still trying to build up to that glory that he was able to achieve when he knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, moved up to welterweight for 2 fights, came back down, defeated Eddie Alvarez, who was the current lightweight champion at the time. And then he chose to go over there and fight Floyd and have his title stripped, never defended a single title. Someone like someone else I know in boxing, Tyson Fury. But if by chance he goes in there and have a dominating performance against Kamaru Usman, guess what? It changes game. It changes everything. It changes everything. Jorge Masvidal gets to be a part of one of the best fights of his life. He gets to be a part of one of the heaviest paychecks of his life. And also he gets to compete against somebody, in my opinion, he really wants to fight. A lot of people want to fight Conor McGregor. A lot of people want that name on their resume. But it's not as easy to get. You know what I'm saying? It's not as easy to get when you're talking about greening up the left side of the ledger in the win column. Conor McGregor is not an easy go. Even though he came over to the UFC with two losses, internal to the UFC, he has lost to who? Khabib Nurmagomedov and Nate Diaz, both via submissions. The one thing I know, and once again, I'll be on these groups and I'm trying to tell them, Conor McGregor, his submission game has been the most suspect part about his whole repertoire. Conor McGregor has been, subbed out in 145-pound division, which is featherweight. He's been subbed out at 155 lightweight, and he's been subbed out in the welterweight division, 170. He's been subbed out in 3 losses on his record in 3 different divisions. You rarely get that. Anyway, Coco, what's good, man? Thanks for dropping through. Salute to you. When is Usman versus Masvidal? This weekend. Tomorrow night. I said top MMA guys. They are technically sound, but usually lack the savage instinct in a fight, not training. Once again, in order for you to be on top, you got to have a certain percentage of savagery. You have to. Just say, for instance, Daniel Cormier. You know, he's pudgy, round, but he did go in there and fight John Jones, the much taller, more athletically gifted opponent, and he still gave him hell. You know what I'm saying? But he's a savage. Stipe Miocic knocked out in one round when Daniel Cormier came up there to challenge him for the title, knocked him out in one round. Stipe turned back around, wouldn't take a fight after the loss, came back in there and stopped Daniel Cormier. And not only did he stop him, he made adjustments and he started going to that soft bucket of chicken, that Popeye's chicken that was just dropping out of the rib cage of freaking Daniel Cormier. He stopped him with body punches. In order for you to be on the elite level, man, you got to have some savagery, man. But the one thing about it, people think it's like boxing. Like boxing, it's good for them to talk trash. Like it's a commonality in boxing for two fighters to talk trash, to build up a fight a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Have the press conference. But in mixed martial arts, you might get fighters that say, you know, I just handle it in the cage. I don't have time to be using all my energy out here. It's just not something I do. They act like Pacquiao. We know Pacquiao can't sell a fight, but people come see him fight because of who he is, the legend that he is. You know freaking Canelo Alvarez can't sell a motherfucking fight. We know Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez was one of the worst promoted fights in boxing history. We know that shit. For two big names like that, they want to sit in different rooms and have attitudes. Get the fuck out of here. Shout out again to Coco. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for the love, Coco. Appreciate it. Williams say, I don't think it matters how Masvidal will win by decision, submission, stoppage, or KO. Masvidal will be viewed as a street genius regardless, but a KO would put him on good status. I partially agree. Masvidal is at a point in his life, in his fight career, that him being up in age the way he is do or die for him. In order for Dana White, I'm not thinking for myself just giving you commentary. I mean, just giving you preview. I'm trying to put myself in Dana White on how he has done business in the past, right? Dana White has been known to like certain fighters and absolutely dislike other fighters. And the fighters that he dislike, he tried to put them in there with the top dudes all the time. You know, it seems like he wants them to fail. If Masvidal doesn't look incredibly dominating in this fight, we might see a rematch. Because Conor McGregor has made the UFC millions of dollars. So it's always going to be a favoritism when it comes to Dana White and Conor McGregor. Because Conor McGregor made the UFC millions. Even though he comes back from boxing and he gets subbed out in his first fight back, he gave Dana White, he was able to put millions in Dana White's pocket. Not only that, look at the criminality that he was a part of. All the shit he was getting into outside the cage. He got off. The UFC has attorneys like no other. You think they didn't assist Conor getting out of that shit? Hell yeah. Muhammad, what's good? When is Usman versus Masvidal, guys? It's going to be this weekend, man. But I partially disagree with you, Jason Williams. Even though you done put some damn good input, I partially disagree. I understand he the street Jesus. But right now, the UFC is trying to make the next superstar. I don't want to say the next Conor McGregor. You know what I'm saying? But they are. They trying to get another fighter that's popular with the fans because it's tough to come out here and have that star power and then put them in there with somebody else that's going to make millions for the organization. This is the pandemic. This is the pandemic. Everybody lost money. Everybody. Look, the promotions was losing money. This shit was bad, y'all. So, of course, Dana White is trying to put on the best fights possible. He's trying to make the best fights possible, y'all. Do you think Dana doesn't like Masvidal? I never said he didn't like Masvidal. I said that he has this habit of disliking certain fighters and liking the others, and the ones he disliked, man, hey, it is what it is. Like it's not like it's a secret. Dana White will let it be known that he don't like it. Now, of course, you know, when it comes down to feeding your family, Masvidal and everybody else, even in boxing, you have to advocate for yourself. If you're not advocating for yourself and your career ends and you cannot return to fight and you basically suffer damage over the career of your combat sports tenure, what are you to do? Those fights where you thought you should have got paid more money. Perfect example, Cowboy Cerrone. As long as he's been in the UFC, I was hearing that Cowboy Cerrone was getting like 45 or 50,000 a fight. That's very low. As long as Cowboy's been fighting in the UFC. Like, once again, I don't like getting into figures and income, but I absolutely encourage the fighters to advocate and negotiate as much as possible if you feel that you at that point, not to out sell yourself, but to get enough money so when the next time come around, you're able to negotiate more and more and more. But if you're sitting up here and you're just taking pennies, when it comes time for you to hang them up and you're looking at your bank account and you're like, shit, that only lasts us 6 months. And you don't have a gym open up and you don't have a other, alternative source to get a residual income, it's going to suck, dog. And another crazy aspect of it that fight fans don't take in consideration is that these fighters have families. Some of them, they have families too. And it costs for their kids to go to college. So if these fighters don't have residual incomes and they don't have money put away, how their kids are going to go to college? Not everybody can get grants. You know what I'm saying? So they have to basically fluff their bank account as much as possible for when they finally hang up the gloves, man, they have money to take care of themselves medically, you know what I'm saying? Take care of their family, their kids, and everything else. That's why I always say to people, why are you sitting up here frowning upon fighters who have regular jobs now? And you're trying to say, oh, they was fighting in the UFC forever and a day. They making good money. They must not made their money. Understand one thing, and I'm not sitting up here talking down on anybody, but these fighters got to pay taxes, y'all. These fighters got to pay fucking taxes. Y'all need to understand that shit is real life. IRS is real. These fighters have to pay taxes on their purses. Then they have to pay for fight camp. Just think about all the fighters who paid for fight camp and then the pandemic hit and all these fights was canceled. So what you think happened when that particular gym was supposed to get their money? You think they're going to charge it to the game? They're going to charge it to the game? I don't think so. A lot of these fighters, they had fight camps. Shit went left with the COVID-19. They're like, shit, I still got this fight camp to pay for. And then when I get the call up again, I got to pay for another fight camp in my team. So basically, you have fighters still playing catch up. You have boxers that's returning to the ring that may potentially still playing catch up from having a fight. And you might want to say to yourself, like, how do you know that? Well, a lot of fighters that you are seeing on TV right now may have never gotten exposure this year if it wasn't for COVID-19. And if it wasn't for Top Rank trying to put together fight cards. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, you have to take it in perspective that these fighters was fighting in another location on a card that wouldn't be televised, potentially not even on Top Rank. They might have potentially had to pay for a fight camp and was hoping to get that little check that you get on a regional level. Now, some of these fighters that was basically unknown, they're being catapulted to fight on ESPN and Top Rank because they're the only one doing business right now. And I just like reading this all the time, and I just shake my head every time I read it, right? But why am I seeing PBC fighters? And I'm gonna get back to MMA. Why am I seeing PBC fighters keep on saying, oh, the one thing about PBC fighters, they ain't complaining about going broke. How do you know that? I mean, come on, that sounds crazy. That's absurd to think that just because you all are not on TV, they just handing out stipends. They just saying, here, you're good. We may not have a fight to the end of the year, you're good. Anyway, back to MMA. Jorge Masvidal, he goes in here and have a dominating victory. It definitely sets up a potential fight with him and Conor McGregor. Now, if you're asking yourself about if Kamaru Usman win, wow, that's a good one. Because I can almost guarantee you if Kamaru Usman wins, I think they're going to turn right back around and say, hey, Gilbert, come back. And now we're going to link you up and give you that championship fight. Teammate of Kamaru Usman. They're going to give Gilbert Burns that freaking shot that he should have had before he tested positive for COVID-19. Now, if you say, okay, World Combat Sports, why wouldn't it be Conor McGregor? That's a bad matchup for Conor McGregor. Kamaru Usman is a bad matchup for Conor. And plus, Dana White needs somebody in there with Conor McGregor that has equal star power to basically complement the entire bout, the entire matchup. Kamaru Usman is not that guy. Marty Usman back in the day, Kamaru Usman is not that guy. It's not that guy. Man, look, do you know what Conor McGregor would do to Kamaru Usman during the press? Oh my God. It would be the same with Tony Harrison and Jermell Charlo. Conor McGregor would destroy Kamaru Usman in the press conference. And people would be like, oh, shit. Conor McGregor's a savage when it comes to shit talking. Absolute behemoth. It'll be the same shit that we was turning on to watch when Tony Harrison and Jermell Charlo was going at it. I mean, I give that 2-0 to Tony Harrison. I give him that. Tony Harrison was absolutely hilarious. But anyway, Kamaru Usman with his wrestling, being that Conor pretty much, you know, that's a fragmentation of his fight game. That'd be a bad matchup with a wrestler like Kamaru Usman. Not so much with Jorge Masvidal. I'm going for Jorge. Street Jesus. AKA street life. Backyard bare knuckle fighting back in the day. Cuban tactician. I'm going for freaking Jorge. Coco say, Conor got that mouthpiece. Absolutely. H Money said, hit the like button. Appreciate that, H Money. H Money Coco in the building. And definitely check them out, man. They cover boxing and some other topics. But check out H Money, Mr. The Zone, man. Appreciate your support, bro. Boxing Champ said, yo, I'm back. Did the fight start? He said, did the fight start? What fight we talking about? What fight we talking about? Josh, what's good, man? He said it's going to be a good fight regardless of what happens. No, man, you know, when it comes to me, seriously, bro, you don't hear me saying good luck. It's just not a terminology I use, right? And I don't apply luck to you know, as media. I don't believe that regardless of what happened, it's going to be a good fight. No, I've watched it too much to know that you can have two individuals on paper that's supposed to go in there and perform well, and they suck. They absolutely suck all to be damn. Prime example, and I'm a goddamn keep on hitting this shit with a damn hammer to the head of a nail. Izzy, aka Israel Adesanya, and Yoel Romero. That shit was absolutely garbage. One of the worst fights. Look, one of the top two worst fights in mixed martial arts, in my opinion. That's real talk. You know who number one? When I seen Darren Till and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson absolutely do feints all day. Both of them have similar wide stances to their style. But it was oh my God. It was bad. Adesanya going in here saying, you know, I want to be the first one to stop Yoel Romero. Oh, yeah. Okay. Adesanya, okay. He's coming off the Robert Whittaker. You know, okay. He beat Kevin Gastelum. I said, okay. Izzy want to go in there and be the first one to stop Yoel Romero? Okay. All right. Oh, my God. The first minute and a half, these motherfuckers, Izzy was running like he had a brand new pair of Asics, y'all. He can dance. Well, I ain't there to look at motherfuckers dance. I'm there to see you compete so I can talk about it. And that was probably the second worst fight I've seen when it comes to a championship fight and two names like that. Adesanya and Romero. And I don't give a damn. People always tell me, oh, well, you're not in there. I don't have to be in there. I'm telling you what you gave me. The person who paid for it, what you gave me. That fight sucks. Real talk, that fight sucked. Josh said, yeah, true. That fight sucked. I prefer to watch paint dry than watch that fight again. Man, you know, it's on DVR, man. That shit got deleted quick. You know, because I like, you know, going back and watching fights and looking at certain, you know, basically study the fights and shit, especially MMA. MMA, you have to know what the fuck you're looking at. And that shit was a disappointment. H Money said, Coco, I'm going to lay low for a little bit after catching that body. Man, what? I'm not even gonna ask you, but I'll find out about that. He said, I'm gonna lay low after catching a body. Damn, y'all out here catching bodies on a Friday, y'all. Damn. Yo, H. We're not covering tomorrow's fights. Izzy got countered and said, I'm staying outside where it's safe. Yeah, man, you're right, man. Izzy, man, talked all this shit. Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? I want to be the first to stop Yoel Romero. No, you want to be the first to be able to outrun him in a cage faster than, you know, John Jones did at certain points when Dominique Reyes was chasing him around the cage. And I must mention this again, which is going to play a huge factor in this particular fight tomorrow in the main event and other fights. But I'm talking about the wrestling aspect of it. The cage is much smaller than the regular cage. You know what I'm saying? 25-footer versus 30 is much smaller. Who does it accommodate? Who does it benefit the most? The person who's going to be wrestling. The person who want to close the distance and clinch and try to take the fight down to the ground. And basically, sometimes in mixed martial arts, when the judges see you get taken down, according to who's looking, they kind of make that a favorable freaking part of the fight to give to the person who was able to get the takedown. I look at it like, if you take somebody down, what damage are you doing once you're able to complete the takedown? Just having top position isn't enough. Are you landing punches? Where are you landing the punches? Are you landing the punches to the rib, just light punches to the ribs? Or are you basically trying to run your hand through the skull of the opponent that you're on top of? Are you trying to do those Tyrone Woodley elbows? Are you trying to posture up and land some significant strikes and do damage? Are you trying to advance your position? Taking somebody down and landing in their guard and stand there chest to chest and just punching to the ribs, that's not work to me. That's not work. H Money said, Coco, let's watch World Combat Sports cover the fights tomorrow. I appreciate it, man. It's PPV. So if you want to drop by and get a taste of some mixed martial arts, feel free to do so, man. We're going to turn up. We're going to make the shit happen. At Coco 1, salute, big bruh. You know how we do it. I appreciate these cats. H Money, Coco 1, D Hodges that was in the building. And once again, that shit wasn't personal. Y'all, if you took it personal, I don't know what to tell you, but that shit ain't personal to me. But I appreciate y'all support, though. It's respect. It's respect. So with that fight card being the way it is, with the main card is a hot one. If we go down to the preliminaries, we got Volkan Oezdemir going against Jiri. It seemed like Prochazka, in the light heavyweight division. I know a lot of people don't know who that is. I'm trying to pick out some names that's familiar with fight fans, but yeah, those fights below the main event, there's some solid look. Another thing I have to say about mixed martial arts, you have a lot more neighboring fighters from different countries and different names contending in mixed martial arts. You know what I'm saying? Their names are not familiar, but when you watch them in action, you're like, damn, them motherfucker good. All right, they good. But if it comes to boxing, he's like, who is this? Man, don't nobody know that motherfucker. Man, we ain't tuning it. It's not like that with mixed martial arts, man. They have some pretty good fighters who come over here that may not be a popular name to the mainstream supporters, but to the casual supporters, but to the mainstreamers that pay attention, that has seen them fight from the regional card on up to the big stage. Yeah. It'd be pretty entertaining. But my favorite that I'm looking forward to off that main card is, of course, Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade rematch. And I forgot to say this originally, right? Rose Namajunas has 4 losses on the record. She lost to Carla Esparza in the Ultimate Fighter debut. And then she lost to Karolina Kowalski, and then she ended up losing to Jessica Andrade, right? So Rose Namajunas, when she won the title from Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Joanna was on the cusp of equaling Ronda Rousey defense record. She had 5 defenses, right? Rose shut her down, beat her in 1 round. Then they came back and fought again. Some of the same shit that Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz did, but it wasn't for a title at welterweight. So Joanna turned back around, goes back in there and fight Rose again and loses the 5-round decision. Now, Rose defended her title once, really make her a legitimate champion. Okay. But when she first was able to come over here, Carla Esparza, she couldn't even defend her freaking title once. So when it came to Joanna Jędrzejczyk being shut down by Thug Rose, and Thug Rose having that 1 defense against Joanna, well, guess what? Once Rose stepped in there with Jessica Andrade, who she's facing this weekend, she loses in her second title defense. So Jessica Andrade's finally become world champion, and she goes in there against this newcomer, Chinese fighter, Weili Zhang. Both of them are powerhouse strikers. So Jessica Andrade, you know, thinking that she's going to use her Tyson-esque power striking against this Chinese fighter, she goes and get knocked out in her first defense of the strawweight title. She get knocked out in the first round by Weili Zhang. It wasn't smart of Jessica Andrade, who has been through what I think that was her second title challenge. I mean, for her to go up there, finally win the title, and then give it up on the first defense. It wasn't smart. But that's one of the fights I'm looking forward to. And the co-main event, Max Holloway and Volkanovski, looking forward to that fight. And of course, the main event, Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal at the welterweight division, 170 pounds. I'm looking forward to that fight because it's do or die for Masvidal, man. If I'm correct, Masvidal is 35 years old, y'all. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but Masvidal is 35 years old. It's do or fucking die. It's do or die. Seriously, Masvidal's record, y'all. His record is 35-13. It's not too many fighters that have that many damn fights in their mixed martial arts career. Seriously. It's not too many fighters. And look, Masvidal, another fun fact. Masvidal came into the sport in 2003. He was in the sport fighting damn near, what, 9 years? I think 9 years before Kamaru Usman had his first professional fight. Check this out. Another fun fact, right? Kamaru Usman makes it to the championship level before Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal first fight was in 2003, right? And if I'm correct, Kamaru Usman first fight was in 2012. Excuse me. His record is 16-1. Yeah, November 2012. It's his first professional fight, man. RFA. Jorge Masvidal was fighting professionally 2003. Kamaru Usman first fight was in 2012. And then Usman makes it to the championship belt before Masvidal. And you know what? That's a lot that's driving Masvidal. He wants to be different than Nate Diaz. He wants to be different from these fighters who's been fighting in the UFC for quite some time that don't have a belt. He wants to be different than that. Seriously, he definitely don't want to be that fighter who is good enough to lose. He doesn't want to be that guy, man. He doesn't want to be Nate Diaz. I'm serious. And there's no knock on Nate Diaz, but he doesn't want to be that guy, man. He doesn't want to be a Uriah Faber in the UFC. And I got mad respect for Uriah Faber. I used to see him so much in Orange County, man, when I was on the run. Cool cat. But Uriah Faber has had more title fights than I think anybody in the UFC. They've been trying to give Uriah Faber. He has like 4 or 5 title challenges. And he wasn't able to get it done. He was a champion in WEC. And when he came over to the UFC, he hadn't been able to get champion. Jorge Masvidal isn't trying to be Uriah Faber. Because Uriah Faber's career, he should just go. You know, he has Team Alpha Male. He's very deep and respected in the mixed martial arts community. Just go teach, man. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Because it's only getting worse and worse for Uriah Faber. He needs to just realize that the older he get, he's not going to turn back the clock like George Foreman and come back and win and beat somebody young in mixed martial arts that's the champion. I don't think it's going to happen. What else did I leave out? I wanted to touch on something else. I definitely want to talk. I wanted to talk about Jorge Masvidal coming in the sport in 2003 and Kamaru Usman, you know, having his first professional fight in 2012. Let me check some out right quick. If y'all have any comments, let me know. But those of you that tuned in, thank you for stopping through. Real talk. I appreciate all the comments from those who may be mixed martial arts fans. Thanks for the comments. Y'all dropped some solid damn comments in the live chat and on Facebook, man. I appreciate that. And that's what I want. I want to cover boxing and MMA. You know what I'm saying? I want fans to tune in. When you see Muddy Flats up here, it's going to be mixed martial arts. That's just my label for mixed martial arts, being that you need to understand how that all breaks down when you're fighting off your back. You're fighting so many different positions, offensive, defensive. You know what I'm saying? It's a dirty freaking game. And within that game, it gets very bad, you know, once the fight sometimes goes to the ground, because it takes away your mobility to move around and defend certain things. That's the restricted part about mixed martial arts. Every fight doesn't go to the ground, but once a person is able to take their opponent down to the ground, it severely limits their escape route, especially when you have individuals that's training jiu-jitsu now. You have individuals training wrestling. You have the game that's so evolved since Royce Gracie came in here competing with a gi at a catchweight. And like I tell everybody, the Gracies set up that to be that way. If you look at every other fighter that was on that card, none of them have on a gi. And you know why? Because they wasn't coming in there to use jiu-jitsu on their opponents. Royce Gracie was, and he was able to do it famously. You know what I'm saying? They set up that round robin, that tournament, the first time, you know, that they went in there and competed. They knew how to choke people out and perform submissions and execute submissions with the gi chokes. And it worked out. So y'all need to understand how that fucking worked, man. So this is the article of an MMA Junkie, right? It said, the world is yours. Everything Jorge Masvidal has worked for is right in front of him. I absolutely agree, right? They say Jorge Masvidal is undeniably one of the most popular, and it's fact, figures in MMA today. But in his position in the sports could change dramatically Saturday night. Always known as a real one, a true fighter happy to share the cage with any willing partner. Masvidal ascended to superstar status in 2019. But a win over Kamaru Usman at UFC 251 will forever elevate the game-bred legacy. Once again, it will forever elevate the game-bred legacy, which is facts. They talk about Masvidal's story, of course, began to unfold in front of us before he set foot in the UFC cage. Bare-knuckle fights in Miami backyards at the invitation of legendary Kimbo Slice, and laid the foundation for fighters Masvidal will become. He was a teenager. Y'all. That's why he's a goon, man. He's an OG. He was a teenager fighting grown men in backyards and alleyways and walking away with stacks of cash. You know another person who did that, but in a more organized manner, was the Diaz brothers. Look it up. Look at Nate Diaz when he was young up there fighting a grown-ass man. going to the ground with a grown-ass man at that age. They say battle tested from the start. Anybody, anywhere, anytime. For that reason, Masvidal have always been a cult hero among hardcore MMA fans. The fighting skills were apparent from the start, but the personality was there too. Even during the time under the infamous Bulldog fight banner some 14 years ago, he already was cracking jokes about his extracurricular activity, but teasing that he can't get into details about those before a 2006 fight with Keith Waniski. Masvidal even mentioned his training routine often includes some time for the ladies to get my extra workout, my cardio, talking about being ahead of his time. So that's just a little article they did on Masvidal. But I agree with the game bred legacy, y'all. This fight is everything. Seriously, this fight means a lot. Now, of course, there are going to be some people that say Masvidal is all hype. If Masvidal goes in here and gets stopped by Kamaru Usman tomorrow, a lot of people are going to be on his neck. I know he doesn't care. He's going to say he don't care, but he does. He does. If he goes in here and gets stopped by Kamaru Usman, people are going to be on his neck, and they're going to be jumping up and down. Even though people love the street Jesus, if he loses tomorrow, just say for instance, let's balance this out. Just say for instance, he goes in there and loses like Conor McGregor did 2 rounds when he fought Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz wasn't the champion. Nate Diaz, though he's been in the game for quite some time, and they're the originators, him and his brother Nick, of talking shit and being the bad boys of MMA, okay, he wasn't champion. Conor McGregor was champion in a different weight class. So for Nate Diaz to beat Conor McGregor at welterweight, people looked at it like Conor McGregor took the risk to move up to welterweight. It's not too bad. He's still the champion. See, they gave him options for the retreat. They gave him options to abort the mission. He was going up 2 weight classes and he lost. So they say, you know what, Conor, go back down there and fight Eddie Alvarez, 155. We forgive you. The notorious one, we forgive you. You was just taking risks. You was trying to be great. They're not going to do that shit for Masvidal. They're not going to do it. Because for one, Kamaru Usman is a champion. And look at the experience that freaking Jorge Masvidal has. And a lot of people looking at this shit like, this is his time. This is what that Eminem song says. You have to seize the moment. Man, you have to seize the moment. And goddamn, as much as I don't want to go there with this dude, it was a time. I know this off topic, but speaking of, Eminem's song, I'm kind of like, crocheting some shit right now, right? I never thought that I would hear 6ix9ine back on the radio. But I'm hearing his song down here in the A being played on the radio. And he's with another goofball that freaking, I believe wholeheartedly that she just fucked up her career, and Nicki Minaj. She has a verse on there to say, I will never get with a corny nigga. I bet my life on it. What? Nicki Minaj has a damn part in the song. I'll never get with a corny nigga. I bet my life on it. I'm like, you are with one. You're doing a collabo with one. And then the dude you get, look, if Nikki, if you were just looking for an average dude, you could have came over here. You could have looked me up. God damn. Like if you just going around and getting with a dude who has a criminal history and going back and forth to court for pedophilia, whatever he got arrested for. Come on, man. Come on. You say you'll never get with a corny nigga. I bet my life on it. And you're doing a song with 6ix9ine? You don't have no motherfucker reserve. You don't care. You like, oh man, this is my opportunity to get back in the limelight. My career been suffering. I got to get back in the limelight. Who's a better person to do that shit? Let me go against the grain and get with 6ix9ine. You think motherfuckers wasn't hitting Nikki up and say, Nikki, what you doing? And she's probably like, well, you look at it this way. I got to make some money. I got to get the bread. I'm all about the bag. You know how these women be talking. It's all about the bag. But all money ain't good money. Akon even collaborated with 6ix9ine. I don't want to hear, look, I was deleting motherfuckers that was posting shit about 6ix9ine on my motherfucking Facebook. Real talk. Some people are tuning in as if the fights, and if you look on my thumbnail, let me bring my thumbnail back up, people. Let me put that thumbnail back up. The thumbnail says, let me wait till it pop up on YouTube. Preview breakdown. Preview breakdown. It is not fight night. It says preview, y'all. For those of you to be tuning in tomorrow, it's PPV. And you know, I have the whole card right here, but the fight is going down tomorrow, and it's going to be UFC 251. So please be patient and understand and drop your comments tomorrow. Please don't come over here trolling tomorrow, you know, especially doing a fight card like this, epic fight card. Hopefully everything works out great. You know, it's no serious disconnect or anything like that. But, you know, it's going to be a tight fight card, man. Y'all hold on for a second. So I want to touch on the picks that's out there. I want to give y'all a view of the picks, the favorites that's being selected for the main card. Let me find it right quick. Okay, here we go. So out of 5, this is MMA Junkie. This shit is huge. So the first with MMA Junkie readers, they have Masvidal. This is just the main card, right? Down from the main event to the first fight on the card. They have Masvidal, Max Holloway, Petr Yan, and I'm mentioning who they have favored to win out of Usman versus Masvidal, Volkanovski versus Holloway, Aldo versus Yan, Andrade versus Namajunas, Ribas versus VanZant. They have Rose Namajunas, and then of course they have Ribas. Next, Nolan King, MMA Kings. He has Masvidal, Volkanovski over Holloway. Yan, that's 2 for Yan already. No one's picking Jose to win so far. Rose Namajunas, Ribas, okay? Next, you have Dan. First, Kamaru Usman. He favored Kamaru Usman. Next, Volkanovski. Petr Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. Next is Mike. His predictions is Usman, Holloway, Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. Next, Farah. Her predictions was Usman, Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. You seeing how the flow is, you know, with people picking this main event on through the card. You know, there's some placeholders now. The placeholders are the commonalities that we are seeing. Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. But the fluctuation switching up is the main and the co-main. Next, we have Simon, Masvidal, Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. Next, Samano, Masvidal, Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. Next is Danny, Masvidal, Volkanovski. Aldo makes his first look. Someone's going for Aldo. You know what I'm saying? All the rest of them has been Yan. Now Aldo gets a favor. He gets a check in the box. Namajunas, Ribas. Next is Brian. Masvidal, Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, and Ribas. Next is Ken. Masvidal, Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, and Ribas. Next is George. Masvidal. See what I'm talking about? How people talking about, oh, Masvidal, you know, he's going to get knocked out and this, that, and the other. It's a lot of people that's going for Masvidal instead of Kamaru Usman, man, just because they don't like Kamaru Usman. Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, and Ribas. Next is Dave. Usman, Volkanovski, Yan, Namajunas, Ribas. The placeholders are the placeholders, but not all of them are the same, right? Check this out. John, his predictions are Usman, Volkanovski, Yan, Andrade. Look, Andrade finally gets one just like Jose. Just so disrespectful. Jose gets one up the way, and then finally they give Andrade one favor to beat Rose. And then, of course, Ribas. Ribas is batting 100 right now. Nobody is giving Paige VanZant a chance to beat Ribas. Abby, Masvidal, Max Holloway. They finally give Max Holloway a second freaking favor. Max Holloway, Yan, Rose Namajunas, and Amanda Ribas. And last is Matt. His favorite is Usman, Holloway, Aldo, Andrade, and guess what? They give a consolation prize to VanZant as the last pick. Because all the rest of them has been Amanda Ribas. And then lastly, they give Paige VanZant a freaking check in the box. It's going to be a tough fight for Paige VanZant. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, the whole main card is stacked there. Everything boxing for real. The main card is stacked for show, but for people who follow, you know, I just want to look at some of these new cats that's getting shine, that's going to be on the card, just so I can kind of pick up on some new fighters that's get some exposure during this, you know, pandemic. So it's a lot of neighboring fighters that's going on here, you know, and contending. But if you follow mixed martial arts, they probably some familiar faces. Because sometimes when you follow mixed martial arts, the faces resonate more than the name itself. She's been lost for years. Hey, man, she's going to have to step up. She's going to have to make sure she step up. And like I said before, I gave you the time of the fight. And I gave you the thumbnail. So if you choose to stay in the live chat and ask who won this, that, and the other, I don't know what to tell you. I showed you the thumbnail. And the fights are tomorrow. That's the only thing I can tell you. But yeah, that's the fight card. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. I'm definitely going to have live commentary. And just ahead of time, for those who check out the video tonight, you all be sure to understand that I am not showing the fights. They will block the video, especially the algorithm and the UFC. They'll block this shit quick. They'll shut down any live stream you got. The UFC does not fucking play when it comes to freaking streams. If you show one of their fights, they shit so tight that they'll shut down your stream. And you're just like, damn, how that shit resonate? Man, you don't fuck with IPs, internet protocols. You know what I'm saying? You don't fuck with algorithms. You don't fuck with IP routes. You don't fuck with the damn TTL. You know, data guys would know, you know what the TTL is, the ping that goes out, the packet internet groping. You don't mess with the numbers when it comes to this streaming shit, man. They'll shut you down and block your video, and it's all for naught. And then also you have people that will tune into your shit and they'll report your video. Just because you have a title here, they report your video if they are trying to, you know, just be haters or whatever the case and get your shit shut down. So you really have to understand what a copy strike means and just having a copyright offense where they say, okay, you play some music or whatever, it's not too bad. But usually if you do live commentary, you're good. You know what I'm saying? You're straight. But if you want to sit up here and basically share screen and show the fight, especially a PPV, you're getting shut down before the fight's over with. Guarantee it. And you'll probably be shut down on Facebook for 3 days, 3 to 6 days, and also on YouTube. And that's fact. So I will not be showing the fight. The event is tomorrow. The event is tomorrow. So I will definitely be on here probably around, I would say, 8 o'clock. The preliminary card started at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll probably be on here 8 o'clock. And the event is in Abu Dhabi. So basically, they're going to be fighting in the morning, y'all. They're going to be fighting in the morning on YAS Island in Abu Dhabi. So most of the time, the fighters have all day, and then they go to the arena, around, what, 3:30 or 4, whatever it's according if you're on the prelims or the main card. But this particular fight card, they are fighting in the morning time. So the preliminaries, these people are going to be in the arena around 4:30 in the morning, like taking back to the old days. They're going to be there like they're going in for a freaking workout. But they're going to be fighting tomorrow. And the fights are going to extend in the morning all the way into the afternoon, of course. But we're going to be seeing them over here. And it's going to be PPV, the main event. The main card is going to be PPV. Absolutely. The main card is going to be pay-per-view. But everybody who stopped through, man, I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a little bit more than what you knew about mixed martial arts. Whenever I have the Muddy Flats up here, man, it's a mixed martial arts affair. One of the biggest cards, again, what makes this card bigger than Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje is because you have 3 championships fight. And also it's the first fight card in Abu Dhabi during the pandemic. All right. So, you have a fight card in Abu Dhabi. It's not the first time they had an event over there, but now you get to go over there in the middle of a pandemic, have 3 championship fights, and also the first and second fight on the main card is going to be 2 females in each fight that the fight fans are familiar with. People are familiar with Paige VanZant, and the fight fans are getting familiar with Amanda Ribas. She just came to the UFC not too long ago. Like I said, her big win was over Mackenzie Dern, who's a BJJ world champion. Very nasty on the ground, but her striking and everything else collectively need work. She's kind of sloppy with her hands, but Amanda Ribas beat her, and then Randa Marcos, she defeated Randa Marcos. So Amanda Ribas is 9-1 right now with a very good record. And of course, 2 former champions, Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas. Of course, we want to see them fight. Of course, we want to. Thug Rose is one of my favorites, man. I really hope she goes in there and, put it on Jessica Andrade. And I don't care if the fight go to the ground in this particular matchup because Namajunas, her jiu-jitsu is crazy. Look back in her fight before she came to the UFC. She has a flying armbar. You rarely see a flying armbar submission, period, even the male or females. But Rose is one of those people who has that flying armbar submission. And lastly, I forgot to mention this when I gave Jorge Masvidal his props for the flying knee, right? I also wanted to mention another flying knee that's at the top of the food chain in mixed martial arts, and that is Michael Venom Paige. When he was able to land that flying knee on Cyborg, he actually caved in his freaking cranial, man, his skull. That was just unbelievable for him to have the reaction time that he did to catch Cyborg changing levels to go in for a takedown and crack him with a knee. And the x-rays are out there on Google. Check out the x-rays of Cyborg, how his skull was caved in. Yeah, check it out, man. I think it ruined his, it changed his career. He wasn't able to come back and fight, I don't think. I'm not sure. But those 2 of the best flying knees you'll see in mixed martial arts. I'm not saying the 2 only best knee. I'm just saying when it comes to Jorge Masvidal knocking out Ben Askren, and then you have Michael Venom Paige. That's a welterweight in Bellator right now. His flying knee was incredible, period. But that's all I got, people. It's been a pleasure. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Hey, share the content. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate everybody for your support always. And y'all be sure to drop by around 8 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to get this popping once again. You know, appreciate the input, especially mixed martial arts being the topic of discussion today, man. Appreciate y'all for stopping through, dropping your input about this fight card and asking questions and, you know, being involved and interacting. I appreciate that. Salute and see you tomorrow.